Swimming like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond in the shrimp tank.
Welcome back to another episode of the Shrimp Tank. We come to you virtually from Seattle and the entire Pacific Northwest. We lovingly call it the PNW. If you want to learn how to start, grow, or run a successful business, you've come to the right place. This podcast is for you, the podcast of record. It's where we say street smarts and book smarts collide. Hello again, everyone. I'm Dan Whedon, and my co-host today is Craig Swanson. Our guest, and we're excited to have this guest. I've been a friend of mine for quite a while, is Curt Maier. Curt is a seasoned business development executive with 4 decades of experience in business. He currently is an M&A advisor, business broker, and a franchise consultant, holding the position of vice president of business development at IBA, the oldest merger and acquisitions business brokerage firm in the PNW, serving the lower range of the middle market. We are really excited to talk about Curt and get his wisdom. Welcome, Curt, to the show. We'll be with you in just a minute. Everyone, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. We're on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Overcast for Craig, and of course, YouTube. We are ubiquitous. We come to you from about a dozen other cities. In fact, we are the number 3 entrepreneur podcast on the iHeartRadio network. Now, listen, before we bring in Curt, hello there, Craig.
Hello, Dan. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I think it's been a while because you and Monica switched out. I had Monica on a couple of weeks ago, and it's been a while. Hope all is going well in your world.
It is going great. I really appreciate the flexibility. We were all up in Whistler with an entrepreneurs organization I'm part of, and had a great time, and really happy to be back here on the pod.
I love Whistler. Now, listen, you were kind enough to bring a guest a few months ago, Daniel Marinello from the Seattle Golf Fitness, because you knew I'm a golfer. Curt, our guest, is a golfer. Now, you may not know this, Craig, but the PGA Championship is this weekend, starts tomorrow. So I had to make a run. I had to make a run to the Clearwater Casino. They have the FanDuel Sportsbook there. And I like to wager a little bit. My limit is $100. So I set 5 $20 bets. So anybody just know, wagering, you should not be wagering your mortgage. You should wager smartly. Anybody having an issue with that, you should never do it. Get some help. There's my stand up on my soapbox for that. But I do like to wager on golf, and I set my bets. And so I'm excited to see how many tens of dollars I might win or probably lose along the way. Just curious, Craig, is there, I know you don't probably wager on golf. Is there anything that you kind of like doing in a sporting type of betting way?
Well, I do. So I gamble very, very rarely outside of just business gambling. And I do buy lottery tickets whenever the Powerball breaks $1 billion. And
so it's got to break that first.
So it's got to break $1 billion.
Okay.
I buy enough tickets to trick my brain into thinking I have a chance to win, and then I have a journal that I open and I write down everything I fantasize about. So basically, it's my way of being able to like create a list of what apparently I value based on what I'm fantasizing about. But
apparently, millions you can do without. You're living fine without the millions. We got to get into the B's.
I got to get into the B, like, or I got to leave. It's got, hundreds of millions once everything's like, kind of like organized. So there's got to be enough that like the dreams are big.
So, it's funny you say the dreams are big. I mean, I mentioned betting on professional golf. Those professional golfers are all entrepreneurs, Craig. They have a team around them, but they are themselves probably very more than almost any other sport, their own little entrepreneurship. And as you know, because you are an entrepreneur nerd, that betting on ourselves as entrepreneurs is a common practice. In fact, it's the only practice. I'm going to bring in my friend Curt here. Curt, first of all, I'm going to ask for that. Welcome you. I'm going to welcome you first. I'm guessing you're going to watch some PGA Championship this weekend. Maybe I'd like to hear who you think's going to win, and I'll put it up against what I actually bet on. We'll see if we're close or not. Well, I want to see who's going to win, and then I want you to talk about your whole experience in 4 decades of entrepreneurs, including you wagering on yourself. So welcome, and who's going to win the PGA?
Well, thanks for having me, guys. I think that Jordan Spieth is gonna surprise a lot of people. He was out last week with an injury, but he loves majors, and he wants to add this one to his portfolio. That's for sure. So I'm going with Jordan Spieth.
Okay, so listen,
But
before you tell us more about his wrist scared me away. So I've got several bets, but the 2 biggies are John Rahm and Xander Schauffele. So there we go.
Well, your choice was good in the last major, so good luck to you.
So tell us about
Dan,
people betting on themselves, Curt.
Yeah, when you talk about betting on yourself in our lives as merger and acquisition advisors, business brokers, and franchise broker, I mean, clearly we're betting on ourselves. I mean, we all have teams that support us. However, at the end of the day, your success is based on your personal experience and knowledge and skill. And IBA, which, as you mentioned, is the oldest M&A business brokerage outfit in the Northwest, we have a very unique business model in that we're performance compensated 100%. Differs from others in the industry that may charge for business evaluations and take retainers, but basically we only take a success fee at the conclusion of a successful deal. So the pressure is on us to perform. So we go right along with that theme.
That is fantastic. Well, you are in an industry and you're talking about stuff that's like close to my heart as an entrepreneur. What I understand is you both deal with franchises and business brokering. And first of all, I just want to hear more about that. I want to hear more about just kind of like what you cover, because I want to dig into both.
Sure. So, I was turned on by business brokerage after I sold one of my own businesses. I sold it to a first-time buyer, and I had to help him get approved. This was a franchise business, so I had to help him get approved by the franchisor. I had to assist him in getting funded. I had to supply him with other professionals to assist him in the deal evaluation, from a CPA to a transaction attorney, et cetera. And so I was turned on to business brokerage after that deal. I just decided that rather than buy another business, I wanted to help people sell their business, and I wanted to help people buy businesses. So I thought, perfect profession to get into. And when I looked at my options here, I was living in Bellevue. I was looking at my options. I found a national brokerage firm, Murphy Business Sales, that afforded us the opportunity to sell franchises in addition to businesses. So again, the emphasis in a business brokerage is to find existing cash flowing businesses and sell them. But what I liked about it is that if I had buyers that I could not find a fit for, either they found something in due diligence that concerned them, or perhaps their offer wasn't accepted, there would be a degree of frustration on their part that they can't find something that they were looking at. And so they would ask me, well, what else do you have? And if they were looking at, for example, if they were looking at an existing Massage Envy business and they were very comfortable with the franchise model, but there weren't any available in our inventory or in the entire market, I would tell them that, hey, instead of buying a business for 3-4 times cash flow, you're paying a premium for a good, profitable business. Why not build equity over time and choose a similar model, just under a different banner? And the benefit is you can locate it close to where you are. You won't have any concerns with regard to any skeletons coming out of the closet, because you're starting this from scratch and you're in business for yourself, but not by yourself, with that franchisor support. So I just thought it was very important to not ignore the positive experience I had with franchising, and I want to continue that into my business brokerage dealings.
So Curt, we've had over the course of years several franchise owners on as guests, and one of the things that appealed at least to them was the system was in place. A successful franchise, there was an operating system in place. And I don't want to say it was as easy as a plug and play, but it was much more of a plug and play model. The point is that you're paying more because of that success already there. My question is that when you're looking at either being you're going into business, you're going to get a franchise, you're going to start from scratch. Are there qualities, characteristics, traits, personalities that do better with one than the other?
Yes, exactly. And it's something that I look at very early in the process when I'm talking to a client. Folks will come to me with a desire to be a small business owner. And so as I assess them, I put them through a profiler to determine their strengths and weaknesses and what they find pleasurable in their jobs. And certainly what I'm looking for is an executioner. I mean, I was, my career started in the Navy and I was an executioner, and my career took me to a Fortune 300.
But Curt, I can't let that pass. You said it twice. You are an executioner. I feel like I've got this hood over your head and there's a guillotine somewhere. I'm assuming you were really good at executing stuff, not people, right?
Exactly.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear. I couldn't let that pass.
No, and I think a lot of people, whether they come from the military or not, when you're in a corporate environment for a period of time, I mean, you're following strict guidelines, position descriptions. Large companies don't necessarily need everybody on the team to be innovative. They need people that execute and follow the process, and that's what makes them successful. So, whether you come from the military or you have a corporate background, and you can follow a process, that's key. Because when I sense from potential buyers that they want to be very innovative, they want to tweak things, they have many of their own ideas, there's nothing wrong with that. But, they're destined to own an independent business to where they can tweak it any way they want. I mean, the analogy would be somebody buying a Chick-fil-A and deciding that, they want to add tacos or something to the menu. I mean, it, makes no sense. You're paying to have a proven system, and you need to follow it and you need to execute it meticulously. And if you do, the benefit is the chance for success is enhanced to a great deal.
I was thinking the same thing. So I'm the chair of the Seattle EO accelerator program for entrepreneurs, and we have franchisees and we have business owners, and they really do come in with different skill sets and different mindsets. And honestly, there's a lot of small business owners that could learn something from people that succeed in the franchise business, because a lot of business owners end up holding themselves back because they are every year reinventing their business, so they never get any historical track record going. Are you involved in helping business owners sell their business as a brokerage as well? I'm just curious, like, if you've had that experience on the other side of taking these handcrafted businesses that some entrepreneurs might build, and what does it take for them to be able to convert into something that someone might want to buy?
Yeah, well, certainly, Craig, selling businesses is our primary service. I mean, we are a sell-side firm. We look for opportunities in the lower middle market, and we classify that as companies with enterprise values between as low as $1 million and up to 25 million. And we look across all industries: manufacturing, services, retail, including franchise resale. So we're looking for those opportunities where the owner is looking to exit. Many times it's purely for retirement purposes. I mean, think about it, Craig. If you're an owner and you run a profitable business for the long term, why the heck would you want to sell it? I mean, the only reason I can think of might be that, you're too consumed in the business and you want to do some other things. But then if it's a profitable enough business, put some management in place, hire a general manager, be content peeling off, hundreds of thousands to have somebody running it to give you the flexibility you need. But really, if you have no family succession plan, you don't have any kids in the business, and if you don't have an employee that can take over and buy you out, then really the only alternative is to sell. And so what we have seen here, with the silver tsunami and the older baby boomers getting closer and closer to retirement, they really have no alternative but to look to sell. And certainly my own experience owning several businesses in a number of industries has led me to understand that the best time to sell a business, sounds trite, is when it's doing well. And so the pandemic, I think, has woken folks up a little bit, saying, hey, I never want to be in a position where I'm forced to sell. I want to have an orderly transition, which is going to enable someone to get the best price and terms. So yeah, we, our primary business is selling businesses, but the challenge for us is that it has been a seller's market for as long as I've been in this business here in Seattle, which is over a decade. So if you have a good, profitable business, it's in demand. We have 10 times as many buyers as each opportunity that we have.
Well, what's in demand for us right now, Curt, is we're going to take a short break to hear from our spotlight sponsor. And when we come back with Curt Maier for our Hot or Not section of the show, we're going to talk about some golden domers. Don't walk away. We'll be right back with more of the Shrimp Tank. EO Accelerator is a coaching program for Seattle area business owners who want to grow their existing small businesses beyond $1 million in annual revenue. As a small business owner, you face new challenges every day, whether it's deciding how you're going to fill a rush of new orders, puzzling out where to find new customers, or sweating about making payroll. You find yourself wishing you had an instruction manual for your business? At EO Accelerator, our mission is to empower entrepreneurs with the tools, accountability, and community to aggressively grow and master their business. This is more than theory. This is entrepreneurs helping entrepreneurs, with top Seattle business leaders who have been where you are, volunteering as coaches and mentors in the Accelerator program. Because the hustle is only going to get you so far. The next level of success is a team sport. Want to hit $1 million in revenue? Well, then join the club with EO Accelerator.
All right. Thank you, Dan. I love hearing you talk about EO Accelerator. Welcome back to the Shrimp Tank, where we're interviewing the best and the brightest CEOs from around the greater Puget Sound area. And I'm Craig Swanson, and our guest today is Curt Maier, talking about business brokerage and franchising sales. Curt, I'm really I love this this area. What are so you're talking about the silver tsunami, of what types of businesses are people who have built and worked their whole life that they don't have kids that are necessarily willing to step in? What types of businesses are those? Are there a lot of industrial, a lot of like service businesses? Like what are the types of business you're dealing with mostly here?
Sure. So in manufacturing, it can range from light manufacturing to aerospace subcontractors to food manufacturing. I mean, it is so varied in terms of the different industries in manufacturing. We're members of the Center for Advanced Manufacturing Puget Sound. That represents owners across all industries. We're also members of the Pacific Northwest Aerospace Association. Always on the lookout for those. Very big in the construction industry. So we're members of the Master Builders Association of Pierce and Snohomish County, as well as King County. And so a lot of opportunities of remodelers, construction companies, related trades, HVAC businesses, plumbing businesses, mainstream kind of manufacturing and service businesses. Could be home related businesses, home painting, could be home medical, etc. And then of course on the retail end, a whole variety of different opportunities there. And then when we talk about franchises, when you buy a franchise, you got to think with the end in mind. Is it to hold it to build for your kids, or is it to build and look for a return on investment? So I think the interesting fact about business brokerage that most people don't realize is that the typical business changes ownership every 8 years. Think about that. That's a lot quicker than I ever thought. Sure, there are some family-owned businesses that go for a century, but there are a lot of businesses where folks get in and realize, boy, this isn't the fit for me, and bail rather quickly. But on average, it's every 8 years. And so, you've got to be thinking with the end in mind, and have some idea of what you want out of that business. Again, when you sit down with a buyer, one of the first things I ask is, what is your goal with this business? How long do you want to hold it? And they look at me like, well, you haven't shared the opportunities with me yet. How would I know? Well, is this going to replace your income? Are you looking for your income replacement? Are you basically looking for a job, or are you looking for a return on investment? Many people are builders, and I'm sure, Craig, the mentality amongst people who like to take something, create it, and build it. They may not necessarily be the ones that want to operate it for the long term. And so, we work with a lot of folks that have purchased businesses through IBA, and we have sold them, and they come back to us and purchase another one. So they're just builders in that respect. So,
Well, Craig threw a curveball on me. I'm still going to go to hot or not. We went to a great question that he had. So we're going to start hotter. We're going to start hot or not here. You can't see it, but Craig is laughing. He realizes he went right by his script, and that's okay. If anything, we're flexible. So I'm going to come back to what I teased out in the beginning. We're going to run some hot or not here on you, Curt. Craig and I are going to pepper you with questions about business, about life, about some other things, and then you're going to tell us whether it's hot or not, and why or why not. I think I know the answer to this. In fact, I'd wager on this. Hot or not, Notre Dame football.
Oh, very hot, red hot, absolutely. And you're going to be jealous, Dan, because one of my bucket list items combines my love for Notre Dame football and golf. And in August, yours truly will be at the first college football game of the season in late August in Dublin, Ireland, when my Irish take on the Midshipmen. And before that game, my Notre Dame classmate and I will be playing 4 rounds of golf in Ireland with legends of Notre Dame football sprinkled in. So I'll have a chance to play with Mike Golick, Jerome Bettis.
Wow.
Yeah. So the Irish are red hot. They have a very easy first 3 games until they meet number 1 Ohio State back in South Bend for a rematch. And I'll tell you, revenge will be sweet, Dan. This will rival the Florida State game 30 years ago, and of course the Catholics versus convicts way back in the day when Lou Holtz beat Jimmy Johnson. You remember?
Well,
that
not that you're passionate about it or anything, but I'm going to guess that there might be a Guinness flowing while you're in Ireland, right?
Not only that, but it'll be a guided tour, a private tour, along with the Jameson distillery as well. So this is a guy's trip, and it combines football along with Irish football. So it can't get any better than that.
Oh, that's great. Dan, I was laughing. I totally skipped over that part about this being in hot or not. So I'm going to, so in the spirit of like my interest around the business, hot or not, is franchising a turnkey business? Should we view it that way?
Yes, I do. And it's really, it's really great for first-time owners in that the turnkey involves everything from the training of you as the owner and your employees, along with support on finding the right space. Typically, franchisees will lease their space. They'll typically want to save their capital for growing their business and not put it into real estate. There are some exceptions. If you have a whole bunch of money or whatever, and you want to avoid lease costs, et cetera, you can do that. But the franchisor will provide a turnkey package for build out as well. And the marketing packages that they offer are typically turnkey as well. Some include significant CRM systems as well, that they get everybody on the same platform that makes it easier for the franchisor to manage the entire system. So Absolutely, it's turnkey. I mean, it's it's the main benefit, I think, of first-time owners, making sure that they don't forget anything and that they're taking the development of their business in the proper steps, and that the timeline is realistic. I think the biggest concern that anybody going into business for themselves and starting something new like a franchise is, how long is it going to take to reach break even? I mean, I recall my own experience. I left a corporate career after 20 years, and I ended up finding a senior healthcare concept called Sarah Care. It was an adult daycare franchise. And so the initial step was to identify 6,000 square feet of space, negotiate a lease, get the employees going. And I can recall thinking, boy, I thought they told me something about a year to reach break even. And I was hitting my line of credit every other week for payroll, wondering, am I ever going to get there? Right. It's what everybody goes through. But then inevitably, after reaching break even, it took that proverbial hockey stick growth. And before you knew it, I was able to replace that corporate income and eventually became an absentee owner, which was sweet.
So I think what also will be sweet for you. I'm going to give you a tap in putt here on hot or not, because you and I have had this conversation. Is actually what led to you being here. Hot or not, franchising opportunities for veterans who are leaving the military. They're retiring. They're getting out of the military. What about that? Hot or not?
Oh, it is hot, 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 hot. I had the honor of participating in a committee through the International Franchising Association at their annual convention in March. And it's obvious that all of the major franchising brands are attracted to veterans. Again, it gets back to what we were talking about before: the execution, the credibility, the trust. And most of the franchisors will offer a veteran discount. I mean, they will recognize that for most transitioning veterans, it can be a stretch. I mean, if you've been in the military, you're not going to get rich on your military salary and such. And so what we find the most attractive opportunities for veterans are in the services business. Owning a Mr. Handyman business, owning a Pro painting business, owning a Pure Clean water and fire damage restoration business. It could be anything. And so it is hot. And as a matter of fact, it's not just the transitioning veterans. I mean, there are many veterans that we're working with now that have a history of military service, but they went into corporate roles in Amazon and Microsoft, and those traits that people are looking for are there with them. And so we're working with a lot of veterans that have been away from the service for a while as well.
All right, I've got a hot or not. Having a business plan, how important is that?
Oh my goodness. If you don't have a plan, it's a plan to failure, as they say, right? And that's another great thing about franchises is that, that they have that plan for you. I mean, to come up with a business plan as a first-time owner is a challenge. And, with a franchisor that has had experience over the years with, different personalities, different types. I mean, to have that business plan template for them is invaluable. It really is. So yeah, got to have that business plan.
Let me ask a little bit of a follow-up on that. I have seen, and you probably have too, and Craig has too, many a business plan template out there that roll around. What I found sometimes is those business plans don't really talk about how to market your business. There's no marketing plan involved in that. And we all know, I don't care what the business is, it's about acquiring new customers and new clients and marketing. How important is having a solid marketing plan within that business plan?
Oh, I think that's the most important part. I mean, regardless of the business that you're going to own, whether it's independent or franchised, you as the owner have to set the tone. I'm not saying that every owner has to be an extrovert like the three of us. However, they have to recognize the importance of sales and marketing. And they're the ones that are going to make it happen, and they're going to lead by example. And so having a marketing plan and having an idea of what the marketing spend needs to be is critically important. I mean, I think back of, my experience where I was telling you that it took me a while to reach break even. The tendency will be to pull back on marketing spend because it's a cash expense, but you need to be doing the opposite. You got to double down, and, you have to do it right. So again, the franchisor will make sure that that marketing spend is spent in the right direction, whether it's a percentage that goes for a national campaign that they manage, or a requirement that you put in X percent of your revenue into marketing on a local basis. And in today's day and age, I mean, there's so many ways to market your business, and you can do it rather inexpensively as well. Just have to be smart about it.
Well, we're going to double down now, Curt. We got another break that we got to talk about our sponsors again. We're going to take that short break to hear from our corporate sponsors. And when we come back with our guest, Curt Maier, for our Plead the Fifth section of the show, we're going to find out what is the thing he likes the most and the least in his business today. Don't walk away. We'll be right back with more of the Shrimp Tank. And Plead the Fifth is brought to you by our corporate sponsors, Ideal Life 360, Cornerstone Financial, First Underwriters Insurance, BC Fitness Studio, and Upstart Group. Please visit our website at www.shrimptankpodcast.com/Seattle to learn more about these terrific companies. Now, back to the show.
All right. Welcome back to the Shrimp Tank. And just to make sure I don't forget it, we're going to the Plead the Fifth segment after this. But just to tell you who you are, we're the Shrimp Tank. We're interviewing the best and the brightest from around town and having a great conversation with Curt Maier. And welcome back to Plead the Fifth.
So Plead the Fifth, as you know, because you're a listener of our podcast, we're going to ask you questions that we're going to maybe put you on the spot a little bit more. You get to plead the fifth once, but I think I know you well enough. I don't feel any fair catches coming on this one. It's one of my favorite questions to ask, Curt, and you can take it where you want it, whether it's the world of franchising or if it's the world of selling and buying businesses. Today in 2023, post-pandemic, AI technology, everything coming along in the world of buying businesses. What do you like most and what do you like least about it?
Well, what I like personally about this industry of both buying and selling is the collaboration with professional partners. This is speaking as an intermediary myself. I think if you're constantly trying to put a good team together for a buyer, trying to make sure they're aligned with the best transaction attorney, the right CPA that can do pro formas if they need that help or do due diligence, the right banker, the right funding solutions. It's really fun with that collaboration because ultimately all the collaborative partners will benefit. Referrals will come from bankers, they'll come from attorneys, and likewise, we have the ability when we're earning an engagement from a seller, and we built that trust. We get to know that seller, and we might ask them, well, geez, what are you going to do with this $9 million that you're going to net after closing? And we can help them maybe align themselves with the right financial advisor to ensure that his portfolio is managed for his retirement or for the next investment. So, there are so many things that I like about doing what we're doing. I mean, you have such an impact on someone's life. I mean, when you think about it, these business owners typically have, 2, 3, 4 times as much equity tied up in their business as they do in their personal assets, their home and personal portfolio. So, you're really performing an important service to them, and that relationship is very strong.
Mhm.
Now, you also asked, what don't you like about it? Well, sometimes dealing with your client who is the owner of a business can be challenging if they're not allowing you to do your job. I mean, the most important thing for an owner to do when they engage a broker is to allow them to do their job. As I said before, use our experience, our knowledge, our skill to get the job done for you. You've got to remain focused on keeping that cash flow generating until closing. You can't take your eye off the ball. So, we look for engagements where the owner trusts us, doesn't micromanage us, realizes that we're in the boat with him, because again, we're performance compensated, only successful if the business is sold. And on the buyer side, sometimes buyers can be tire kickers. They can talk a big game and say that they're looking forward to ruling the world as a small business owner, and they don't really know what those challenges are until they get into it. So dealing with the arrogance of some buyers can be challenging at times. Trying to, let them know that reality might be a little bit different than what they think.
Imagine. All right. So you mentioned some people selling their businesses. What is the most noteworthy or interesting answer you have had someone come back for what they're going to do with that significant liquidity event, with that $9 to $10 million that shows up in their life all of a sudden?
Well, it's probably what was on my mind at one point in time. I think I can think of the owner of a boat manufacturing business that basically wanted to take his ocean-going tug around the world, and he did. And so that's kind of unusual to do that. I think that a lot of folks think about retirement in terms of having fun, pleasure, travel, etc. But it's amazing how many of them will return and invest in something else. I mean, repeat owners tends to be a trend. I mean, I look at myself. I mean, as Dan mentioned, I own my own business brokerage firm. It was a national firm. It was a franchise, Murphy Business Sales, for a number of years. And when I sold it to one of my agents, I thought I was done. And that wasn't the case. I think we all, miss the thrill of the deal. We miss what, made us successful. And so I see a lot of folks thinking that they're going to do these, exotic trips and such, and then they come back to reality and they want to be around their kids. They want to support their kids. And many of them go back into other businesses. And they use those skills that they've learned through the years. So it's kind of funny, when you think about it, it's kind of screwed up in a way that, 65 is this magic number that everybody's supposed to retire. But we all know, you look at people that are 65, they're at the peak of their business acumen. Why let all that experience and knowledge and skill go to waste, right?
Absolutely.
Just find something you have a passion for.
So how long? So what's the time frame for people that sell, come back, and they take a year or two off? How long is it between the time that they sell and they come back in? And what does a second time business buyer, like what is someone who is coming in for a second time around, what do they bring to the table that they may not recognize?
Yeah, well, on the time frame, my experience has been that they'll come back sooner rather than later. If you're away for more than 2 or 3 years, then you're likely in permanent retirement mode. But if you're coming back rather quickly, I think the number one benefit is in doing due diligence of existing businesses. They know what to look for. They can tear apart every line item of the P&L and the balance sheet and understand all the things that can lead to problems in starting in taking over new business. I'll understand the working capital requirements and such. So I think the due diligence area is the one that really is most beneficial for repeat owners to focus on. Plus, they have relationships at that point in time. So, they have relationships with professionals, as I mentioned before, professional partners, lawyers, CPA firms, financial advisors. And so finding the right opportunity is a little bit easier because of their network. And, most businesses are not widely known to be available. Confidentiality is important in our business. So, you have to have relationships and connections with people that might be aware of good opportunities for them to pursue.
Right. All right. Well, Curt, I think we are out of time here. So I just want to say thank you for joining us on the Shrimp Tank today. This has been fantastic. For any of our listeners that are leaning in and curious about talking with you about something, how can they get your information? Where should they go to find you?
Well, they can find me on LinkedIn and of course at our website, which is IBA.com, IBAinc.com. I'm sorry. And that's the best way to get a hold of me.
All right. And so for everybody out there, make sure that you check out the replays for this show or other shows at shrimptankpodcast.com/Seattle. And wherever you follow your podcast, whether it is Apple, Google, Amazon, I guess Amazon, you could probably find a podcast on Amazon somewhere. YouTube is coming into play. My favorite, Overcast. Please follow us, like us, and leave a thumbs up and a 5-star review on your podcast choice.
And my tip on the Notre Dame Navy game, take the Irish. They're going to cover the spread, which is at about 20 points now. They'll probably win by 4 or 5 touchdowns.
You see what happens? We started talking wagering. We're ending talking wagering. I will tell you, though, that Curt and I had a very spirited conversation during the Masters. And as he said, the guy I had won, even though he was talking some trash. But go ahead and take his bets. But remember, don't bet the mortgage or the farm. Bet your discretionary income. Listen, first of all, Curt, thank you for being on the show. It was great. I hope you have a terrific time in Ireland. Let's go out and play golf before you take off. Would love to do that. Craig, I always laugh when you talk about overcast because we're here in Seattle, but as I look outside, it's not overcast today. It's beautiful. Thanks for being on. We'll see you again in a couple of weeks. Everybody, do exactly what Craig says. Like us on all of our places, especially Facebook. That's where we live stream every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Pacific. Next week, Wednesday, May 24th, I'm going to be on my own. Michelle Baumberger is still on vacation. She'll be back for a week 5 visit in May. But I've got a special guest, a guy I've known for a long time. This is an author. He has a day job, but he has been authoring some really cool fiction books. We're going to talk about what it takes to become an author with Ryan Oliver. So please join me next week. In the meantime, be safe, be well, and be prosperous, because until next week, the shrimp is back in the tank. So long.
I've been feeling like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond.